my beautiful guys and dolls, and welcome to an episode of Before the Curtain. I'm your host, Abby Campbell, and we will be diving into the world of live entertainment. We will uncover what it takes to put on a show, and artists will reveal their stories of how their creations went from idea to reality. We are determined to uncover everything that happens before the curtain. My guest today is a man of movement. He is someone I absolutely adore, and his passion is nothing less than vibrant. As a dancer, he has performed with celebrity cruise lines, Disney, and Oceania. Now with roots in Las Vegas, this artist has been killing the game as a professional dancer, having performed for J Balvin, Will.i.am, and F1 Las Vegas, just to name a few. He is currently working as both a stage manager and dancer swing for the Mayfair Supper Club at the Bellagio. He's also a fabulous personal trainer certified by NASM with specialties in neuromuscular flexibility and corrective exercises. But the reason he is here today is to share his journey in founding and co-owning the Waiting for Tonight Art Exchange, a collective event that celebrates creativity through performance and display of art. 100% of the proceeds go to benefiting local artistry and the performing arts in the Vegas community. A man of a big heart and beautiful soul, please help me welcome to the mic, Jordy Castillo.
That's where like the sound effects of like the audience applause comes in.
Yeah. I'll put them in.
Yes. Oh my God. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. And that was a great bio.
Thanks.
I'm like, can I have a copy of that so I could send it to people?
Well, like, no, it's so hard to write a good bio for yourself. Like it's better if somebody else writes it through their eyes because, we're just too biased.
That's true. I'm also the type of person where like I get super blushed when people say things about me. I'm like, stop it. But like, thank you. That's a very, very kind introduction.
Absolutely. You're fantastic. And all the guests are fantastic. They need to know how fantastic they are. Okay, so we're going to get right into it.
Okay.
So Waiting for Tonight Art Exchange, like where did the first seed take place?
Okay, so not many people know this about the event, but it actually was conceptualized as a 30th birthday party in my early 20s. And this is like young Jordy, like I was on cruise ships and I was like exploring like the industry a little bit more in my own artistry. And I'm like, one day when I'm a millionaire and I'm 30 years old, I'm going to throw this giant party based off of the music video Waiting for Tonight by Jennifer Lopez. And if you don't know it, go ahead, watch it. I think it's the sexiest vibe ever created. There's bamboo and wild, like forest plants everywhere. And there's laser lights and everyone's in a certain like dress code and vibe. And she's all about like setting the scene and the tone. And there's like flashlights and like people coming into this party and this experience on these like rowboats. And like, people are just checking her out and she's just like living her JLo life. And then ultimately what I would want to accomplish, because I'm still going to try to recreate this more successfully one day, is that at some point I want there to be water jets that make people wet. And like everyone's just hot, wet, sexy, and
like as the performers or like as the attendees?
As the attendees. Like,
okay,
it's gonna be known that like please wear clothes that you could get wet. And
okay,
hey, we're a half hour till the moment of, if you have your phone or electronic devices, please put them away.
Yeah,
because I just think it would be so cool. And my birthday's in July. I would want the event to be in the summer, but for people to come to this crazy erotic party where there is so much happening, but then we all just have like this moment of unity underneath the water. And I guess that's the Cancer in me, wanting to add the water element, but I think it's really wanting to recreate the vision that she created with the music video. Like, how many people could actually say, oh, I want to live in a music video?
Yeah.
Or live in a movie setting, And the green laser lights, everything, just how it all came together. I thought, I need to do this. Now, fast forward, I'm turning 30 this past July, or I turned 30 this past July. I'm going to talk as if it's June or May when I started to like really conceptualize it. I was anticipating on going out to Long Island. I'm from Long Island, born and raised, 27 years. I was like, oh, I'm going to go home to Long Island and do a whole house rental with my friends, try to get people from Vegas to go there, and I'll do a crazy thing. Found out that that wasn't going to play out a certain way. So I'm like, okay, I know of a venue. And I was like, let me try to throw this party. And it was going to just be a party that I was going to throw. Then someone that I work with at the Mayfair, he is a server. He's from Miami, and he has done things for Art Basel, which I don't know if people are familiar with what Art Basel is, but
what is it?
It's a huge art festival that happens in Miami, and they take over literally the whole city, whether it's the art district or the downtown area or like the little nooks and crannies of the city. In certain places, they host artists to do pop-up exhibits of their artwork, whether it's paintings and sculptures or, technical displays of sorts, kind of like what you would see in Burning Man, but more within establishments. And there's a lot of parties, there's a lot of mixers, there's a lot of cocktail hours, there's celebrity appearances and special performances. And the guy that I was connecting with, he did like you know how you have a bar crawl? He did an art crawl in different hotels. And
like in Miami or
Miami.
Okay.
And he had people go to each of those hotels, and each hotel had a set artist or a couple of artists with their artwork on display and paired up with like different music artists, DJs, or special performances that would happen at each venue. And I'm like, can we curse on this thing? Like, can I say bad words?
Oh, yeah.
I have a potty mouth. Sorry.
Go for it.
But I was like, that's dope. I kept it PG. But I was like, that. But I'm like, that's dope. Like, that's a really cool concept. And I was kind of like pitching to him, like, where my mind was with my 30th birthday and X, Y, and Z. And now how I could take all that and bring it to Vegas. Not as an art crawl, but taking this space that I was looking at for my party, but now turning it into an art event.
And you have just had this idea germinating in your mind since
I was like early 20s.
Did you just see her music video and think like, I need to recreate that?
I just saw it,
Or
and it was like an immediate obsession. I was like, oh my God, how do I do that? So the whole name of the event, Waiting for Tonight, comes from the music video. And the whole idea of an art exchange, I love the concept of an elevated, exclusive networking event for the arts community. But it's not just paintings and sculptures. Right. It's live performance as well. So that's, along the lines of the art realm of body painting, graffiti art, which we had at the event, to where we had fire performers and cirque performers before the showcase happened. But then I had 15 performances that included choreography, dance. It had cirque performances from hand balancing to acrobatic duets to more fire performing to heels to contemporary to hip hop. And it was wild to think that I was taking all that I've dreamt of and conceptualized and was able to put it in a certain event format. And obviously it's a party, so I wanted there to be an after party. And everyone's like, oh, it's your 30th birthday party. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I don't want this to be my 30th birthday. Did we end up celebrating it at the event? Yes, it was a week after my birthday. But I wanted it to be very clear that this was a business endeavor, and this was a way for me to bring the arts community in Las Vegas together to celebrate what they're capable of doing in a curated space with a certain concept and theme that was very fun, that was very summery and filled out the fantasy that I wanted to live with what Waiting for Tonight was, but within more of an event structure. So yeah, that's kind of where.
Oh, as somebody who performed there, perform as the little model that I was before as people were walking in to the event, I was incredibly thoroughly impressed by the level of production it was. So, and I'm sure you've heard that a lot. And it probably, I don't know if it felt like that or not, but I was so impressed with what you did, with what you had and how you did it and the way that it came off. It was absolutely fabulous. All the booths that were there, the talent that was there, the people that put it together. I was so impressed. And the fact that it was an idea that started in your 20s and you were just kind of sitting on it, and then you were like, I have to make this happen, for my 30th. It kind of sounds like a birthday present to yourself, right? You kind of made that like idea and you were like, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah. And I think what I ended up realizing, which made it so special, was because now that I did turn 30 and I was coming into myself, was kind of taking on this new chapter of my life. Because yes, I do work as a professional dancer and I still would like to work as a professional dancer, but there's certain things that, we get older and I'm realizing, I'm not being utilized as much as I would have hoped to have been moving to Vegas. So I say, why not just do something on your own?
Why not make it?
Why not take the talents and the networks and the connections that I've made in the almost 3 years that I've been living here and use it to my advantage, but also have it benefit everyone else that was involved. And it's so funny that you say the production and everything was so beautiful, because I worked with what I had. And when you're building something from the ground up, you're not going to have all the funding. And there are very smart people that go ahead and they apply for grants and they make sure that they find the sponsorship money or the backing to do what they have to do first and then do it. I just said, I literally grabbed the bull and I said, go. And every bucking kick that bull fucking bucked and kicked, it took me for a ride. And I was like, Jordy, you can't stop, because you already put the word out. People are now involved. And, as we'll continue to talk about, it gets overwhelming. And
I can only imagine.
And there's moments where I'm just like, is this actually going to play out? Do I want this to happen anymore? And I mean, I lost my routine in the gym. I made a lot of self-sacrifice, a lot of financial self-sacrifice to make sure that this came out the way that it did. And I worked with whatever was given to me. So my biggest saying over the month of July was making lemonade out of oranges and just taking whatever it is and just squeezing it the best that I can and hoping that it's going to be the product that I ultimately wanted it to be. And from the ground up, there are certain things that you conceptualize or you make vision boards. I mean, I made pin boards about it, and I have a whole thing on Pinterest of what I was looking for with the aesthetic. And I sent it to the artists and to the people that were getting involved so they knew what it was that they were being a part of and how they could create to it appropriately. I mean, David's Dream Factory, I'm very blessed that I made that connection with him and he was offering that venue to me. But now taking what he has with his technical lights and his production in-house, because yes, he had a speaker, but would it have been powerful enough to bring volume to what an event
right?
is
It made you think of so
doing.
much. Yeah.
And I was talking to the guy who I did Art Basel with. He was buying all the sound equipment that was utilized, and he bought the laser lights. And I'm very grateful, and I don't think he knows how grateful I am for him, for talking me into this wild journey, but also what he has done to make sure that he could bring himself into it in certain ways with his connections, and then the equipment that he purchased to make sure that it could be as successful as it was. So again, it really does take your best resources and whatever is given to you to make whatever happen. And leading up to the event, which I hope not a lot of people saw, it was while there were tech rehearsals happening all day, those 7 hours that I've had from 12 noon until 7 p.m. was me and my little village of people completely gutting the place and finding whatever we could to make it what it was at 8 o'clock for doors to open.
Wow.
And I was dirty. I was sweaty. I was dehydrated and hungry. My clothes weren't even at the event when people were there, and I had to hide behind the curtain for the first half hour of the party. But I'm also glad that I did, because there was still things behind the scenes, even once the party was started, that I was still ironing out to make sure that it could be as cohesive as possible. And I think that's what a lot of people didn't see, and I'm glad they didn't see it. And then when I did show face, you know, people are like saying hi to me and all this stuff, but I was in a blackout. I was so worried about making sure that the music was set in place, which we could talk more about, but that was a whole big drama that I had to deal with. The LED wall and working with that technical element, because that was a whole drama that I had to work with. And then making sure everyone was well communicated with their show run and when they're going on stage and X, Y, and Z. Because now I have people stretching and performers getting ready, and that's, you know, you have to be on it. And I come from a background of stage management. I worked for a dance competition, and I've done other events and stuff like that in the past, to where, you know, if it's not timely, you're screwed. So I took any and all knowledge that I knew from other jobs and things that I've done in my life, and knew how to apply it in that moment to make it as smoothly and as presentable as possible.
So let's take, like, just describing it for people who maybe didn't get to attend or don't know necessarily what an art exchange entails. This one that you created was obviously inspired by the music video that we kind of already talked about. But as people arrived to this venue, they walked in and they saw me. I was there getting painted. And then they also saw the aerialist in the air as they walked in. And then there were different booths there of different companies and different, like, there was the clothing. I can't remember what their name is.
Choose Happy.
Yeah. And then there was, like, the bar. There was
Danny Maloney Dance.
Danny
she had
was
hers
there.
set up. There was the little, so basically I wanted, because David's space is David's space. It's beautiful for what it is, but it's in his backyard.
Yeah.
And the warehouse ended up becoming a big storage unit for him, and
he's turned it into this gorgeous space, or
gorgeous space,
yeah,
with like a marley floor and aerial fly point,
and there's an LED wall in the background.
There's like a black box theater element where there's like the black curtains on all three sides and above, with minor technical lighting.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of lighting he can rig for, like, aerial, like, pole and silks and
so
such.
When people came in, again, I was curating an experience with the theme of what Waiting for Tonight is. And I wanted it to feel erotic and sexy. And I had everyone dressed in all black because, again, that only adds to the vibe as to what I was trying to create. And the DJs that I brought on, I created a Spotify playlist of certain songs and vibes of music that I wanted played throughout the evening. And I mean, these DJs I've managed and I've worked with at the Mayfair, and I trusted what they were capable of doing. So it was a combo of all those things.
Amazing.
And the use of a scaffolding, which I wanted to decorate in a certain way. And me being the artist that I am, with the timing that I had, I just didn't have the timing.
Oh, yeah, because then we had the dancers on the scaffolding and everything. So there was this whole vibe when you first walked in.
It was a whole vibe.
It was great.
We used that whole black box theater space as the live art, like, interactive moment of it.
And then all that space in front of it was used for the booths and the vendors and the other type of artists.
On the right wing, there was Danny Maloney Dance. She had a vendor table, and then we had the art gallery, which we had an artist. I wish I knew more about him, his name, and where he came from. I believe he's from Miami, but his work was stunning.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I think he's from Miami, or he definitely has Spanish background, but it was very vibrant and very colorful and abstract. And just to look to the right all night long and to see such exquisite art pieces there, like, to me, that's what made me emotional. because I have a profound love for art. I mean, I want to have an impressive art collection when I grow up. I know that requires a lot of money, but like I've always loved art galleries and going to different exhibits and seeing that type of stuff and how people view it and X, Y, and Z. So to have that there really held a certain spot in my heart and in my vision and what I'm trying to highlight. And then we had like Brandon, he was there with his prints that he created of his pinup voodoo dolls that a lot of people purchase, and I'm very thankful for. And then on the other wing was kind of like our VIP area. So we created a seating area, decorated it a certain way. And then we had a bar and then the catering food that we got. And then again, Choose Happy was there. So like we had the 2 vendors, which I'm very grateful for because again, I like to call this event the startup, the sample of what it is that we're capable of providing moving forward in a bigger space with more vendors and more art pieces and more artists involved with their work in any and all shapes and forms of what that's going to be. So yeah, I just wanted it to be a whole vibe.
Oh, it was such a whole vibe. And then after that kind of intro of the aerial is in the air, after I got done with the painting, the show kind of started with the live art, with the performances.
And that was a whole...
Oh, and the DJ going as soon as people walked in. Sorry, DJs. You were there. DJ. You were killing it.
DJ,
There were 2. There were 2, right?
He just changed his name.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's now Velvet House.
I loved it. The opening DJ, he was
Colin.
The first
is a
one,
vibe.
Yeah, I was sitting there trying to get my like face all painted, and I was like, I just want to dance.
And I only had him for an hour because he had a gig at Delilah. Mm-hmm. But I go, please dress in all black. I go, I know you're gonna look phenomenal, and I go, I know your music is gonna be dope. And I was like, so just show up, do you. It's going to make me, like, I almost cried when I booked him as a DJ because I view him very highly. Oh. And then DJ Miyuki, she did such a clean transfer from him to her.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, I can't
remember who I was standing next to, but I was standing next to someone was like, did the DJ just change? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no one, like,
I had no idea.
Yeah, the transition happened so... Well.
And I had no idea because I was behind a curtain setting everything up the whole entire time. Mm-hmm. But the fact that audibly it was so smooth, like made me so happy. I was like, work.
Professionals.
I hired professionals. Like I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. And I knew that I was able to trust them. And it was fun because we had our showcase and
it was like what was it, like 2 hours?
It was
an hour and a half?
An hour and 45 minutes.
Hour and 45 minutes, okay. And of just live
we
artists.
Had a 15-minute like intermission.
Yeah.
But the opening act was choreographed by Shanae Johnson, and her and I went into a casting process.
Okay, whoa, yeah.
We need to rewind.
Yeah, okay, we can absolutely rewind wherever you want to go.
End of May.
End of May. Yeah, because I want to know at what point were you like, oh my God, I have to do this year? Or like, did you think about that at the beginning of the year?
No. I knew I was doing something waiting for tonight along the lines this year.
Yeah, because I know you said it's for your 30th.
I didn't know I was launching a business this year.
Yeah, you didn't know that you were creating such a massive thing.
I didn't know I was launching a business until... Earlier in May, I sat down with Brian on 2 separate occasions.
And Brian is the guy from Mayfair.
Who did Art Basel and everything.
Okay.
So it was from there where I kind of got the green light and inspiration from him. And it was like the week after I was going to Sedona with my friend Brooke and her friend Alex. And I was like on Instagram and I was like, okay, well, if I'm doing this, I need talent. I need to just feel out the waters, seeing who's available for go-go, for aerial, for cirque performer, for DJ, for photographer, videographer, models.
And just talking to him, you were like, I can make this a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Basically?
And he went into a little bit more of the business on how I could find the finances and bring in the money for all that. So once I was able to connect business with concept, I was able to go, okay, let's fucking go.
And before that, you were just like, you know what? Hey, Brian, I have this like idea. Do you mind chatting with me about it?
Oh yeah, and that was part of our 2 sessions that we've had.
Okay.
Funny enough, at Sand Dollar, like after work, like we just sat there for hours, just talking, him and I,
just throwing out a concept to him, and
it was really all those things that made me feel so hopeful about creating something of that caliber that I was just like, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah,
and I did it. And it was that Instagram story that I put on my personal page. The responses that I've gotten, I want to do go-go, I want to do this, I want a photographer, videographer. I had people from LA then reaching out to me and all this stuff.
Wow.
And that was overwhelming because I was just like, oh my God, there's so many people. And now I have to filter all this. And how am I going to filter it? How am I going to make a showcase? How am I going to utilize these dancers? I initially thought go-go dancers because I didn't know that there was going to be a showcase. Until after the fact. And then it was the concept of the showcase.
So in Sedona, you're like, okay, I'm going to make this post and see if I can get any go-go dancers or get any talent.
Yeah. And I've actually had some miscommunications with some people that wanted to get involved because they thought, oh, I'll be a go-go dancer. But when I was hiring certain dancers for that position, it ended up them being the opening number dancers that I personally
so kind
hired.
of like evolved.
And not only were they doing the opening number that I was a part of with the creative process, but they were also go-go dancers. And they're kind of the face of the company.
Yeah.
So they were able to help and communicate things with the other artists that were there and help out with the cleanup and the setup and X, Y, and Z. And I'm very grateful for the artists that I did take on for that. And I'll explain more of that later. But that's something moving forward for next events. What I'm looking to do is cast more with my opening number performers and kind of having them be the face of the brand. So doing more of the promotional footage now. They'll be part of the photo shoot, video shoot leading up to it. They'll do any and all ambassador work leading up to it and stuff like that. And now I'm able to work one-on-one with them on how to be more of that brand or how to represent a brand, which we all know how to do. We all do gigs of that here in the city, but understanding the professionalism and the business aspect of it. So when it comes to paid performers, those are my paid performers because they have set jobs. Yes, a showcase like Carnival, Tuesday Blend, or Club Jetty, stuff like that out in LA. Those showcases, the choreographers, the dancers, they don't get paid.
Yeah, they don't get any.
Unless their choreographer or their company does pay them for that performance. But I then had to think and communicate to people, hey, this is a showcase. I'm giving you the platform. Again, leaning into the art exchange. I'm giving you the space. Let me give you the photo, video content in return. Knowing that there's going to be people of the industry at this event to where they could scout you for things in X, Y, and Z. Pure example, Nikki Blaze, she performed her first ever aerial pole performance.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
And Danny Maloney, because her booth was there, and she's my roommate, blah, 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 and I love her. She's a beautiful supporter of mine in my life. But she booked Nikki Blaze for Particle Inc., I think through Waiting for Tonight, seeing her abilities of what she's capable of doing with pole. And I'm sure Danny knew that she did do pole and stuff like that, but
I've never seen her
on
do
a
it.
certain level, you know what I mean? And combining her dance skill with her pole in one moment. So I could only hope that moving forward, that my event opens doors and networks for people to come together and for people to get booked for stuff. And I'm very honored. I freaked out and got very nervous over this fact, but Joaquin Howard said he wanted to come to the event to scout out talent.
For Cirque?
For whatever,
just
just
whatever
in general.
he's doing, okay.
because I don't know if he was transferring out of Cirque in that moment or not.
Yeah, because he's not the casting
He's not with
director
them
of
anymore.
Cirque du Soleil anymore.
But the fact that he said he even wanted to come to the event to look at talent and stuff, like, was a pinch me moment, because I was like, oh my God, here I am 3 years ago auditioning for you, wanting to get hired for you as a dancer. And now you're coming to my event wanting to hire other dancers.
What a transformational moment for you. I can't tell you how happy that makes my heart, seeing you do that.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you did that is incredible.
And you could call it selfless or whatever, but I think it's just me wanting the better good for others. And I'm not saying that it comes out of a place of my own lacking, because I've gotten booked for jobs and gigs here in this town. But, you know, even the consistency of certain things and how we feel like we could be utilized sometimes isn't always at a certain level. But for people to be then put in a spotlight to where they can get that content or that footage that they need to put in their reel, that will help them get booked for that next job or X, Y, and Z. I understand the business of being a performer or being an artist, period. And that's what I'm trying to hold within this event and hold within the idea of an art exchange. I see you, you see me, let's work. And again, it's not even just the people involved as performers or artists, but it's also the attendees. So inviting other dancers, inviting other creatives, other music artists or casting directors, producers, songwriters, whoever it is, to where people could work together. And something that didn't happen, that I was upset. Oh my God, sorry, I had to burp. Something that I'm upset didn't happen was I tried collaborating a music artist, I'm not going to name names, with a dancer in the event. And the music artist didn't perform at the event, which really broke my heart, because I come from the background and knowledge, which I don't know if you knew. I worked talent management with my sister back home in Long Island. So I've done backup dancing and choreography for upcoming artists in Long Island for years. And I've understood the business of building brands with my sister for years back home. And I was trying to take that underneath my wing and for the first time try to make that happen here in Vegas, and it didn't play out that way. And my apology goes to the performer who didn't get the opportunity to dance with that said artist, but that doesn't mean that that opportunity with that artist will come, because I will make sure that he does get partnered with someone. And I saw him at a recent showcase, at a different showcase, and I was like, I know how talented he is. And I got to know him on a different level at that other showcase that I got to see him at. And it testifies even more what I see for him. Because again, that type of performer, do they think of all these things? Not necessarily, you know? So if I could spark inspiration with someone with my event as well, again, mission accomplished. Or I was just at a house party this past Sunday night, and there's a performer who is, I believe he was in a Cirque show that just closed and is in the process, incredible freestyler, very talented individual of just finding work and doing things on his own. But he was in the corner DJing, and I was like, I see a DJ setup. Are you going to DJ? And he was like, yeah, I can. And I had a whole conversation with what he does with his music. Like, do you make music mixes or X, Y, and Z that you freestyle and pop and lock and do all your stuff to? And he's like, no, not really. And I was like, okay, well, there's an artist that I know, Jake Kodish from LA, who produces his own music and dances to it. He throws parties in LA at his house where these dancers and creatives could come listen to him spin live, but everyone could cipher and freestyle to it. I go, you could be doing that here. Or Adeo Badami, he's from So You Think You Could Dance, but he choreographs to his own mixes at dance conventions, and I've taken his classes, or I've worked on his choreography as a company manager at my old dance studio. and cleaning his choreography to his music and everything like that. Like, it's cool to see how people could take music, their own music, and then create something from it. So I wanted to shed that light to him. And he's like, thank you. Like, thank you for inspiring me to do that, because I never would have thought of doing that. And I was like, it's so simple, but all it takes is like a spark of imagination and your creativity, and putting those two together to create an outcome that is only going to help you, that someone could then hire you for or use you for something else. And ultimately, that's what I want Waiting for Tonight to be, is just a house where all that falls under.
You have such a like beautiful business brain that like, well, if you're great at this, why not just do it like this? And then you've just created a whole new world for someone, or for yourself, or for others.
Yeah.
Which is such a talent.
Your makeup artist that painted you at the party, beautiful dancer.
Amazing.
Has done backup dancing for artists and showcases in X, Y, and Z. But did anyone know that she was a body painter or a makeup artist this whole entire time? No. I didn't even know until she responded to my Instagram post saying, hey, I do makeup. And I was like, perfect. I'm going to find a model for you and you're going to do it. And here you are.
I loved it. She's, and I've taken classes and stuff with her, but no, I had no idea she did makeup and body paint and art in that way. And it was so cool being able to be a part of that.
And I also like to think Waiting for Tonight as an artistic challenge, as a way for people to challenge themselves. If you never choreographed before, I want you to choreograph. I want you to put a piece together and put it in the showcase. I want you to show what you're capable of doing.
And that's another part of that like exchange word, right? Like here's the space for you to express however you'd like to express.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there's the photo and video part of it as well, but there's also that. Here's this free space. You get an audience and you get a stage.
Yep.
Here you go.
Yep.
Okay, so let's rewind just a little bit, because so you have talked to Brian about this and he talked about the financing. Like, so what were kind of the next steps after kind of realizing that, okay, I posted it, I'm getting talent, I need to find a way to pay for it? What was the next step after that?
I went to a community college for business and I pulled out because I wanted to focus on my dance career, and it's like business 101. And I think the cool thing about dancers and performers and artists is that we have to be our own business people. We have to understand the art and the business of the industry in order to build ourselves as a brand, but also to navigate and work the industry in a way to where we're going to be getting booked for jobs and helping ourselves out along the way.
Absolutely. It's not just auditioning or going, I mean, it's
you could do
classes.
that all that you want, but, even myself now, I'm diving deeper into the business and understanding it, even from doing this event, what I need to be doing to be successful. So I took all of my business knowledge and, okay, now let me make a business from the ground up. I'm going to need a structure. I'm going to need to put marketing into place. I need to create a deck. So like a business deck that's going to go out to the people that I'm asking money for or asking to do partnerships with. Partnerships meaning the caterers, the artists, the people bringing in money, the venue even, or the production people that are going to help with creating the creative vision that I have come to life. So it was going from the ground in a business aspect. So I created the post. I got all the talent. I kind of got to filter and cast who I wanted in the showcase, who I wanted to be in the opening number, and so on and so forth. All the creative, boom, done. I was like, creative stuff I could do with my eyes closed. That's the easiest thing. Business aspect, it was then diving deeper into the decks, creating a website and Instagram. Then from the decks, creating relationships with the partners that I wanted to reach out to or using my networks of people and saying, hey, is there anyone that would be interested in this? And sparking conversations, and then getting deep into the conversations. And I think a very pivotal thing and a piece of advice that I have for people is understanding what it is that you're communicating and believing in it 100% to properly communicate it, and for them to be convinced that this is going to be everything that you're envisioning it to be. Because I started off a little wobbly.
Okay.
I was like, how am I wording this? What is this event? What is it that I am ultimately creating? What can they see that I'm producing, and what that outcome is going to be, even though it has never been done yet?
Right. Taking the future and the vision that you see for yourself, your brand, your creation, and being able to transfer it through words to another person so that they see it too.
And not to sound like this, and I call us artists and I call other people muggles. Like, and
it's okay, I use normies.
Normies, muggles, like the 9-to-5ers, like what it is that like they don't understand of what it is that we do, and making it like child book friendly. Like, this event is dope. Oh, okay, cool. And it's not always that easy.
D for dope.
It's not always that easy, and you do have to approach business people from a business perspective and standpoint.
Okay, so you said you started off wobbly in doing that. How did you?
I think it just came with like what was my mission statement, you know, solidifying that. What is it that I'm trying to achieve? What's my demographic? And there was a partnership that I was getting into. I'm going to toss them out there because I want to do business with them. True Fusion. I know someone in the True Fusion world. They were trying to put me in with their head of their marketing team to try to get money and income from that brand now as a sponsor to make sure that we could have a successful event. I was head over heels. I thought it was going to work out.
It's a fantastic big company.
And I go, and you think about it here in Vegas, how many performers are either instructors or
take classes
at True Fusion? So I go, this works perfect with the demographic of people in X, Y, and Z. And they were asking me, what is the demographic? And they've asked it maybe 3 different ways. And it took 3 different approaches. And sadly, that connection failed, which was really hard for me because I made other business transactions thinking that that could have been a locked-in situation. And if that was a locked-in situation, again, everything financially that I would have gotten from them would have gone towards maybe better lighting, maybe a better, more decorations, being able to pay for the people that I have involved, more in a timely manner. And I'm thankful for the people that I did business with because they understood that I was taking this bill and I was coming out of pocket. Still to this day, almost 2 months out, coming out of pocket to make sure that people feel respected for the work that they've done. And I can maintain certain personal and business relationships. And they're very patient and understanding. And I'm eternally grateful for the people that I work with. And they see the vision moving forward to where this is going to be somewhere where we're going to get what we ultimately are now desiring. But coming into all these different business understandings of a setup and now executing it. And now it's taking, like, connect the dots, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, and seeing the big picture. And then once you have your big picture, now it's fun. You get to color in, you get to make it look pretty and let it just run its course. And there's a lot of trial and errors that I've got from that process that I shove in my pocket. And I'll reference back to Danny Maloney. She's like, create a Bible as to like Genesis and the creation story, all the way to the nitty gritties and the ups and downs. That way, okay, round number 2. Okay, you're going back to that same book of Genesis. how can you read it and know
Step
that
one.
you're building it the same way that you did it the first time, but then also fine-tuning the things that didn't work out, or knowing the knowledge that you have now, how can you develop that even more for it to expand on a larger scale. And I think now that it's been 2 months since the event, I've wanted more rest from it, but I've come back to myself a little bit more, and I've done a lot of wrapping up. I really have, like, when like the moon starts, like it comes in and then it wanes out, like that last little sliver, that's all I have left. And I'm so excited for that we'll say along the lines of a new moon phase of this project to come into play. Because now I'm able to start fresh and watch it come into its full light again.
You did it once, and now you know all the steps that were taken, and you know what worked and what didn't work. And then now you can do it again.
Yep. And I wanted to give myself more rest, but I've already started.
I love that.
And I think it's just because I'm so passionate now for what it is that I have done, and knowing what the outcome was and how excited people were to be there, and the feedback and the testimonies that I've gotten, and now getting the video footage that I've gotten, that's now holding me responsible for making sure that's getting, back to the artists. How can I now work on our social media and getting the content out there that I want for my brand? That's going to only help with building the next deck, building our social media, our website that much more professional and stand out with the aesthetic that I'm creating, and allowing that to evolve to where things could only continue to evolve. And another reference in the month of July, or this whole creation process, that I keep saying to people is that you open one door and there's another 15 behind it. And it's like the biggest oh shit moment of your life. You're like, fuck. And it's like, oh my God. And then again, like the nitty gritty of like the smallest little details that you never would have thought of.
It sounds like there was a lot of, oh my God, I didn't think about this, or oh my God, I'm just learning this. Okay, so like what? Like what?
Prime example, at the event, we had everyone's music sent to us via email.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I needed to get it to the DJ. I couldn't think about that until the event was starting and I had certain things checked off. So that half hour that I didn't have my outfit was God really saying, you need to sit your ass back down and work on your music, because your music's not done for your showcase. So I spent that half hour behind the curtain with a flashlight, because it's pitch black back there, in my mouth, with 2 laptops on these computers, transferring files from my phone to my computer into a Google Drive to get it all organized in show order. My first mistake, me being the excited little person that I am, I'm like, oh my God, it's all in Drive. Done. I left behind the curtain. I had my outfit on. I was like, let's get this started. I was like, all right, we're starting the showcase in 5 minutes, everyone. And like getting everyone hyped up for what's supposed to be. I'm now working as a stage manager, going over to the performers, being like, hi, are you guys ready? Stretch, ready to rumble? Okay, where are you entering from? Okay, you're entering from the back. Got it. Wait for my cue. I'm going to go over to the DJ booth, make sure that everything's set up in X, Y, and Z. I get on the microphone. I didn't even think about the music, because I was like, oh my God, I did it. I'm on the microphone and be like, I had the privilege of, working with these 6 performers over the last couple of weeks, creating this piece, choreography done by Shanae Johnson. Welcome your opening dancers for Waiting for Tonight. And I go, where's the music? They're like, Jordy, we don't have the music. And I was like, oh, you're lying. And I was like, but we just worked on it. And she's like, right, but the DJ doesn't have it. So what felt like 25 minutes was probably only like 2.5 minutes.
But those dancers held that pose.
I was purple. Honestly, like I was probably redder than this curtain with how embarrassed I was, because I was like, not my dancers on stage after I called them waiting for their music to start, and it's not even loaded on the screen. I just wanted to cry. I was just like, someone pull the power switch. Like, we're shutting this down. Like, I can never bounce back from this. Like, I'm a total failure. But it's one of those moments, fight or flight.
Honey, we were waiting for tonight. We were waiting for tonight.
And I know their adrenaline was pumping. Their nerves were going. So when that music kicked on, I felt all their anger and frustration just release in that moment. And they were able to give the performance that they could give because there was so much bottled up anticipated energy. And again, I'm very grateful for my dancers. You know who you are, for being the professionals that you are.
So
unfortunately, technical difficulties happen. Also, logical difficulties happen. You know, like, I just thought everything was set in
you're
place.
also you were, not completely a one-man show, but you were basically
I was juggling.
Show. You were doing it all.
And not just juggling balls, chainsaws and fire torches and everything else. And I'm trying to, like, keep a smile on my face and make it look so easy, you know? Because I didn't want people to sense my stress.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for A, my sister, and B, DJ Muki for working with me in those first few moments where you take the sky is falling, Chicken Little type situation to, like, it's okay, we're going to make it happen. And, the rest of the showcase was able to come together in the way that it was, and whatever. But, like, prime example of just how things don't always go as you anticipate it. And you kind of have to pivot in that moment. Money falling out, what is it that I could do with now the budget being changed,
specifically your True Fusion account, or
and
just a different one?
And other ones.
So you had how many people invested in your
quite
event?
Honestly, 2,
not including that's ones that, like, fulfilled it all the way through.
Fulfilled.
Okay.
Like, transactions
happened.
Hit my account.
Yeah.
And it happened.
And then, but you had to pull out. Okay. So do you think that, I know you kind of mentioned True Fusion was the way that you approached, like, the transaction, and the way that, like, finding your mission statement to them maybe what kind of gave them.
I think it was just the fact that it wasn't done yet.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
They didn't have the proof in the pudding of what the demographics actually were and how things could have worked over.
Right. And then the other one pulled out just because they weren't convinced?
No, they were convinced because it was a partnership. I had one of their partners give us money, but the other partner, I just don't think that they were capable of doing it in the time frame that we gave them.
Oh, okay.
Which also comes to doing things in advance.
Right.
Giving yourself ample time. I did this in 2 months. Probably less, I started late May, like the last week of May, and the event was July 14th.
You are the second person that I've interviewed that have pulled together a complete show in 2 months.
When it comes to...
Which is insane to me.
And at the caliber of which it was.
Yes.
And for such... Everyone's for it to say, oh my God, it was so beautifully run, so professional. The production was great. Like, the talent was incredible. The vibe, the aesthetic. I was like, bitch, imagine what I could do with 6 months underneath my belt. Like, just wait for the next one, because the venue that it's going to be in, I don't know yet, but the venue that it will home the next event is going to be outstanding. The production is going to be remarkable. The decoration, the vibe, the talent for sure is going to be out of this world. Like, I just know that we're going to create something that is going to blow even more minds. But what I am looking to achieve is not the next event. It's the events that follow and the venues that I'm looking to achieve this event in moving forward, because Vegas isn't the only city that I'm doing this in. I want to bring this to LA. I want to bring this to Miami. I want to bring this to New York. I want to bring this to Atlanta. I want to bring this to wherever the country or the world will take me. Tulum, Mexico. I take this to Barcelona, Spain, like
Yeah, why not?
wherever. And I think the sky's the limit. And I think there's such excitement with knowing that there's no limitations to what it is that we create. It's just a matter of the execution. And someone told me it's the execution that matters the most. You have to really make sure that you're executing even your business transactions and how you're presenting your business to people. You need to really believe in it for it to take off a certain way. So where am I believing? I am believing in Tulum. I am believing in the Ohika Castle of Long Island. I'm believing in the Versace Mansion of Miami. You know, these are venues where I want this to go because from what I know I hold and what I'm capable of doing and just my overall vibe and aesthetic. Not saying that I'm the shit, but I think that with the people that I work with, we can create something of a high caliber that could complement the markets and the talent and the caliber in these locations that we go to.
You got to believe in in what you do. So
period.
Be the shit. You are the shit. Believe you are because you can make it happen. You literally made it happen within 2 months in like
nothing.
What are we called? The entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah.
We made it happen in the entertainment capital of the world with the community, with that talent pool in Las Vegas. That's not a small feat.
And again, like not really working with a lot of these people on personal levels. Like there's a lot of people that were a part of this event. Like, yes, I knew, or they were friends through people that were involved, and why I'm very grateful that it was a very family oriented type event. But for the couple of artists that I didn't really know on personal levels, they're now considered family. And I will always keep them in my better interest when it does come to castings and X, Y, and Z, because business mindset, however I could find ways to benefit certain people, I want to make sure that they're taking part of that benefit. So it's cool. It's really cool knowing what it is that I created. I don't even think I fully process half the time what it is that I've done until I'm able to have conversations like this with people who are able to give in their 2 cents and stuff. So yeah.
And you've done amazing things. And as soon as I saw your post and just being there at the event, like, of course, anybody who knows anything about entertainment knows that like not any show anywhere ever created is going to go perfectly smooth. No matter what level you're at, no matter where you are, whoever is producing it, there's something might go wrong, or maybe it does run smooth tonight, but tomorrow it might not. Like everybody's always doing their best to make sure the show goes smoothly, and something might go wrong, usually does. And you just, that's why we're professionals. You just go with it. We just go with it. And so knowing that and being an entertainer myself and being at that event, I just remember being like, hell yeah, Jordy did this. And then I just kept saying that, and someone was like, who else did Jordy work with? I was like, did he really do this all by himself? Like, that's so impressive. I mean, obviously, when I walked in, we had Miss Natalia helping, on the computer and stuff. And so there's always a village.
Shanae was like my right-hand gal when it came to this. And a lot of my time after work, so I get off of work 11:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, would be at her place till 4 o'clock in the morning when the sun would rise, conceptualizing and making flyers. Because I realized there's a certain workload that goes into doing all this and trying to disperse it to other people who have workloads. I get it. And having certain people who are now on payroll, because I had to pay for certain people to assist me with all this. I couldn't give all that work out and put myself in a bad position. So who does that fall on? My shoulders, And I was making sure that all the promotional flyers and all the emails and all the business connecting was made and executed in the way that it needed to, because it's like a show. Once you press start on the show, it doesn't stop. So once I start the ball rolling, with this business setup and with this event, knowing that the date is coming, I have to do any and all things possible to make sure it's going to be as successful as I'm anticipating it to be. And do we fall short sometimes? Like, was this my perfect event? No. Was it everything that I wanted to have happen? Essentially, yes. But also at the same time, no. The whole LED wall, in my eyes, did not work. Yeah, I had a logo up there, which is all I really wanted at the end of the day. But I don't think a lot of people knew I paid a lot of money to have graphics on that LED wall and logos up on that LED wall, that I hired someone from across the country to put together all these slideshows for me. And for that not to work was a really big letdown. And I think it's not just the communication, but just the type of execution is the word, but execution of how things play out in those moments.
Right.
And knowing, okay, now that's something to take into consideration for the next event, that if we are going to take on certain technical elements, making sure that whoever's in charge of that technical element, they know the amount of work that is going in to make sure that that could play out a certain way.
Yeah, that proper follow through.
Because for me, that was a big checkpoint. And the reason why the doors did not open exactly at 8 o'clock was because I needed something on that wall. And the DJ was already spinning. I already had you being painted at 8 o'clock. And I was like, I'm now feeling the pressure even more so. So if that felt like I was holding a pitchfork up someone's butthole to make sure that this would happen, to make sure that a certain vision, I was like, I don't care. Please make it happen. Because I was like, I'm on the verge of tears right now. Like, this is like, all I want for people to walk into is something that they're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know? And even I didn't have it with the lighting. I didn't have it with decorations or X, Y, and Z. So that as a statement in itself was going to help bring it more together. So I think that's another thing to take away is save whatever you can save. You know, take pride in whatever you put out in that moment, because it's out and people are experiencing it. Do they know that was missing?
I had no idea.
Exactly, though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so many things that go into what it is that we create and that we envision that doesn't always play out a certain way.
Right.
But at the end of the day, your product is still going to happen.
And you still made it happen.
Yeah.
And you still put it out there because you could have, I mean, like at any point you could have pulled the plug. You know, you could have just.
I wanted to as I was crying underneath the DJ booth while my 6 dancers are on stage waiting for their piece to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, it takes a certain type of people that you bring onto your projects and you work with who know how to work under pressure and X, Y, and Z.
So I have a really random question, and it can be the tiniest of things, and it can be the most randomest things that you don't think matters, but like what in this process did you, because you mentioned a lot of things that you've learned, but like maybe more on the logistical side, whether it's lighting or sound or things like the LED wall that you learned in this production, directing, and producing process that you didn't think of. And it can be like, oh, this type of light works a lot better on this kind of stage that you didn't know before.
It's so funny because I've been part of performances where I got to create the lighting for before. I was a lighting technician for drag shows in Fire Island before I moved to Vegas. So I've worked lighting consoles and I was a spotlight technician for the shows there as well. Like when I tell you I've taken all of my knowledge from my professional experiences and all these different avenues and gigs and things that I've done throughout the years and poured it into this one event. It really just comes to starting your own business and the execution of all those things together at once.
Right.
Because when the event was happening and people are there, I kind of felt like being like, who's in charge of this? Like, this is like, there's so many things happening. Like, this is, part of me was like, this is great. But then I'm like, wait, like, I did this. You know what I mean? Like, I had such a weird outer body experience thing. And I was like, oh my God, like this is mine. Like this is me.
Mhm.
I had a I had a hard time processing that. Like I don't even realize what I actually produce because I was part of the process,
Yeah.
you know. This was my process. And even looking back at the photos with the photographer on my own on his computer, like I cried. Like cuz I kind of got to see it from a third person's perspective for the first time, and like there's a photo of me on the microphone communicating to all the artists that are involved at 8 o'clock right before the doors open.
Oh
And
yeah, we did that little huddle.
that huddle, and it was that photo that made me just sob. And it was just like I did that moment, and I'm able to like I'm getting emotional, but like disassociate what it is that like I put so much time and effort into, and watching it come together in the way that it did. And it's truly, it's humbling. It's so special to know that like I created an event that I still don't even understand the effects that it has on people. But again, that's why I'm so passionate for creating it again and making it the success that it was, but even more. So it's cool. It's a really cool thing, and I don't think that there's like a said lacking that I had. I just think it's the fact that like I've never done it before on my own.
No, and you did it, and
I was always a part of that, of a process. I was always the lighting tech. I was always the backstage manager. You know, I was always the performer. I was always the choreographer. I was never the person who put it all together.
Was there ever a moment where you were like, no, I can't do this?
No.
Love that.
No. And I think the only thing that like kind of made me quiver in my boots a little bit was time.
Oh yeah.
And knowing that deadline was coming forward, and I wanted to pull a plug a couple of times, but I was like, Jordy, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many people involved now and so many people communicating about it. And like at this point, like people are taking off of gigs and working their schedules around this. Like you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do it to yourself. Don't be an embarrassment, you know, like, and I think I held a certain pressure to myself in making sure that it was going to play out a certain way because I didn't want this to be a flop. Or I know of certain things that have come and passed, not just here, but in other things in life that didn't work out a certain way. And people be like, well, what happened? You know, I think I would have lived with more guilt and more self like frustration knowing that it wouldn't have played out. So I go, regardless, it's going to happen. And in even weeks, days up to it, I go, even if it's just I turn it into a birthday party, you know, even if there is no event and I just have people there and we just all hang out and do whatever. And I have DJs, like the things that I already paid for are paid for. Might as well make the most out of it. But there was that little beam of light on the inside that wanted to shine so bright and saying, just make the event happen because it's there. And I think it was just flipping my mindset of being like, no, it's not going to happen, to being like, no, it already happened before it actually happened, you know? And that comes with a sense of faith in what it is that you are creating, and also within yourself and whatever else that you believe in. That really kept me very grounded with that whole entire process. So sure, I had my moments of doubts and self-battles and X, Y, and Z, but I knew it was going to happen. There was no, like, I hate to say the inverse of it, but there was no doubt that it was not going to happen. I was going to make sure that it was going to happen regardless, and it did. And again, it was very stressful. You know, there was a lot of sacrifice that went into it, but the reward of it and seeing the final outcome surpasses anything negative that I dealt with. And all those things, at the end of the day, they only build character. They build lessons for you to kind of hold on to and to stick into your pocket to now know how to do it the next time around, and just for your own growth.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have a few more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
So If you could give advice to anybody maybe thinking about starting a new project, whether it be something at their work, a 9-to-5 job, or creatively, what piece of advice would you give them?
Take what you know and use it to your advantage.
Love that.
Like hard period. But like that example with like the performer that I met at a party.
Mhm.
Are you DJing? What is it that you're doing? Okay. Do you know you could do this? I think there's so many people out there that have so much potential and so much abilities and things that could be tapped into, but they're never given the opportunity or that spark of inspiration to fully tap into it. And sometimes it's not going to come from another person. Sometimes it has to be an experience or the lacking of certain things. You know, in my instance, it felt like a lacking that I had on my end that inspired me to go ahead and create what I created. So,
wait, what do you mean by that? You said you had a lack of something.
Like let's say if I was booked in a Cirque du Soleil show right now, I don't think I ever would have produced the show.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I follow.
The fact that like I'm not feeling fulfilled as a dancer, creative, X, Y, and Z in this current moment in my life. What is it that I could do with all these assets that I do have, all my abilities and knowledge, and create it into something?
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest piece of advice is for people to like kind of tap into what they're capable of doing and allow that to turn certain things around to help them out. Like, just trust yourself, you know? At the end of the day, we are all that we have.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just because I love keeping things light, is there a funny performing story or like most bizarre story that you can think of as a performer, whether it be about your project Waiting for Tonight or just something completely out of the box that you're like, this made me laugh? Because as performers, we always have the craziest stories.
I mean, we all have bloopers and stuff. I don't know. I'm sure there's been so many things. I'm just the type of person where if something like that happens, I really try to just black it out of my memory because I'm like, I don't want to have like an association of what that experience was with something that like mishap or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all fallen on stage. I mean, recently at Mayfair, I went to go do like a trick and like the stage is slippery and like I ate shit. Like I fell on my ass, you know, like what's actually hurt? Not myself physically, but my dignity, you know, like, or like dance competition days. Like I was 12 years old and we're at Dance Nationals in Ocean City, Maryland with Star Power. And we're like on this big stage and I'm like in front of all these big studios that like I'm even like gagged over being in the same room with them. And my sister, we were on the same competitive team at the time. And I'm at the front of the stage for awards doing the YMCA. And my arms go up for Y and YMCA and she pants me. And I was like, my boxers came down with it. And I was just like stark naked in front of everyone. And I was like, why? Like, what is this?
Leave it to the sister.
Leave it to the sister, you know? Like, I don't know. But like professional, I think it's just like little spills that happen. I did like an office run of a show that I was in with Oceania, and there was a big choreographer that was revamping a show in the room watching our show run, plus a whole cast of people. And I'm like excited, but also nervous because, you know, that it's a big deal to have the quality people in the room. And me and my partner, we nailed this lift every time that we did it. We're probably the better couple that always performed that lift. And I just think because we were so sweaty and so nervous, our grip wasn't right. And I didn't drop her, but she fell out of the lift in an ungraceful way. And I felt so embarrassed. And I'm like remembering that I had to keep performing, but my face was just, oh my God. And I cried about it after the fact because all I wanted to do was to have it be as perfect as possible. But in anything in life, not everything is going to be as perfect as you want it to be. So you just brush it off and you just keep going. And, there's lessons that come with everything, whether you see them right away or not. And believe, her and I, we made sure we monkey gripped the heck out of each other every time we did that lift moving forward. I don't care if I cut off the circulation or if she had bruises on her wrist. I was not going to drop my partner ever again. So, yeah, just little things.
Oh, yeah, we all.
For sure, being pantsed was like the most embarrassing.
I know, we got all the details. We got the year, we got the stage, we got the name of the
age of
musician.
12. I was
we
like,
knew the song.
Who and why?
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Jordy, we can find you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? And all of that information will be linked in the show notes. And then we can also find Waiting for Tonight on Instagram as well?
Yeah.
Is that where we can best keep up with everything that you're doing from now on?
Yeah. I was doing a lot of things on my own personal Instagram page because I didn't have that created yet. But any communication that I will do with casting or getting involved, or if you want to see recaps of what the event was that we did create, because now I'm starting to launch all that.
Yeah.
On Instagram at WFT Art Exchange.
And it will be in the show notes. So it'll be all be there. And if for some reason maybe someone special out there is listening and it's something that they want to get invested in, is that something that they can reach out to you through? Because I know your website is on there too. Right?
Yeah, the link for our website is in our bio. I will say, and I probably need to touch up on this now that we're getting into preparation mode. There's a donation ticket. So you can buy a ticket for the next event, which we don't have the venue or anything yet.
Right.
But people could always buy a donation ticket any day of the year.
Yeah.
That's
or even get connected with you.
Or just get connected. Just their way of showing their support for what it is, knowing that whatever does come in to Waiting for Tonight is going to go back towards the artists and creating that platform for them to be showcased on. So any and all things are much appreciated when it comes to that. But if you are an artist and you want to get involved, again, whether it's painting, sculpting, anything digital, runway, fashion, drag, makeup artist, whatever it is, dance, cirque, I want it all. And again, the more unique, the better. I really want Waiting for Tonight to be a home of eclectic. Is that the right word? Unique and
eclectic,
exotic,
one of a kind,
forms of art pieces for people to think, oh my god, wow, that's really dope.
Well, I'm so excited to see where you go. It sounds like you're getting ready to prep for the next event, getting into the headspace, getting into the possibility of the next one starting. I
will say, everyone keep your eyes open for winter 2025.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fierce. It's going to be a moment for sure.
We are waiting for winter, honey.
Yeah. What the vision board is already looking like and what we're conceptualizing, it's going to be a moment.
And if you did what you did in 2.5 months, I can only imagine what you're going to do in like a year.
I mean, from where are we? September, October, November, December, January, February. So in 5 months. Get ready.
Wait, you mean 2020, winter of 2025? Okay,
This coming winter.
You mean 2024?
No, we're in 2024 now.
Yeah, well, wait, do you mean winter of
2025?
Yeah, so like, not like a year from now? Hang on.
Like, 2025 starts in December. I mean, in January. So January, February of 2025.
Okay, like that kind of winter.
Yeah.
Okay. My brain always goes to like later in the year. Anyway, not the point. Not really relevant at all.
Like Christmas time. Yeah, no.
Got it. So like January. Okay, so like, yeah. Okay, so that's
5
even
months.
sooner.
Yeah.
That's even sooner. Oh my God. I can't wait.
I know, it's crazy.
So everybody tune in.
I'm bracing myself. I'm like, let's go.
Let's go.
It's exciting. Honestly, I'm extremely excited for the next one. I want people to get excited for the next one. I've been to auditions and events and people are like, when's the next one? I'm like, it's coming this winter.
It is coming. And I cannot wait for everybody to hear about it. And I cannot wait to see where you go.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to be around.
To make a cute little jingle or a tie-in where like Waiting for Tonight, like waiting for something. I don't know. I need to elaborate on that.
Right. Like a jingle or like a musical note or a musical.
Or just like a little like button statement.
Okay. I got you. Yeah. Because you can't like use J-Lo's like song
Right.
or anything,
Like,
right?
Waiting for
copyrighted.
Tonight, like, is the event. Like,
Mhm.
I want there to be a sense of anticipation for it. So be
Ooh,
anticipated.
Love that. Okay, well, thank you so much,
Oh my God,
Jordy.
thank
I
you.
literally love you. This is so exciting.
Yay.